Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode. This is my friend Bear, and he thinks it's very important that I cover this topic, and I think it's important as well. I will be talking about Mr. Steven Mnuchin, the Secretary of the Treasury for the United States. He recently had a press conference talking about cryptocurrencies because, Libra has gotten so much attention. Finally, it is forcing their hand. I know, just wait, we're going to get to it. Is forcing his hand to make a public statement about cryptocurrencies. And of course, he doesn't really know much about it. So I'm going to go through his statements, and I hope you notice the juxtaposition of the audio of this video and the visuals that I am providing. Also, I really want you to pay attention to the state of mind that he seems to be in. He's asked questions like, he's getting bored. He's been asked questions like, how can the U.S. people who are interested in investing in cryptocurrencies, how can they avoid these illicit activities or scams, pretty much? And he went the other side of it and saying, if you buy Bitcoin for illicit activities, we will come and we will find you. Not too interested in actually protecting the Americans from scams, or didn't really care too much, what did the Treasury do with the banks in 2008 and their mortgage crisis? Where were they then? They were fully regulated. Anyway, before I get carried away, let's get into this video. So let's get to it.
Known as AML-CFT safeguards as traditional financial institutions. Money transmitters of cryptocurrency must comply with the relevant Bank Secrecy Act obligations, known as BSA, and register with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, known as FinCEN. Many people are not familiar with FinCEN. It is a bureau of the U.S. Department of Treasury. FinCEN's mission is to safeguard the financial system from illicit use, combat money laundering, and promote national security through the dissemination of financial intelligence. Last year alone, it collected over 20 million BSA reports and has collected over 300 million in the last 11 years. FinCEN implements the Bank Secrecy Act's regulation and has federal regulatory, supervisory, and enforcement authority over money service businesses and banks. The rules governing money service providers apply to physical and electronic transactions alike. As money service businesses, cryptocurrency money transmitters are subject to compliance examinations just like every other U.S. bank. To be clear, FinCEN will hold any entity that transacts in Bitcoin, Libra, or any other cryptocurrency to its highest standards. I also recently established the Financial Stability Oversight Council's Working Group on Digital Assets. This FSOC group enables U.S. financial regulators, such as FinCEN, the Fed, OCC, CFTC, CFPB, SEC, and other key stakeholders to work together to combat risks posed by cryptocurrencies. As the President has said, Bitcoin is highly volatile and based on thin air. We are concerned about the speculative nature of Bitcoin and will make sure that the U.S. financial system is protected from fraud. Given the international nature of cryptocurrencies, we are also going to great lengths to ensure that effective regulation does not stop here at the U.S. border. Last month, led by the United States, the Financial Action Task Force, known as FATF, the Global Standard Setter for AML-CFT, adopted comprehensive measures on how countries must regulate and supervise activities and providers in this space. This was a major step towards harmonizing international regulations concerning cryptocurrencies. We have also had extensive work at the G20, and I will be addressing this again this week at the G7 finance ministers in France. To be clear, the U.S. welcomes responsible innovation, including new technologies that may improve the efficiency of the financial system and expand access to financial services. That being said, with respect to Facebook's Libra and other developments in cryptocurrencies, our overriding goal is to maintain the integrity of our financial system and protect it from abuse. Treasury takes very seriously the role of the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency and will continue our efforts to protect our country and secure the U.S. and global financial systems. With that, I know there's been a lot of interest in this subject and perhaps a few others, so I'll take a few questions. In the back.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Two questions for you, if you don't mind. The first one is that Jay Powell at the Fed said last week that FSOC would be meeting in the future to discuss Facebook's Libra product specifically. Has that happened yet? And then secondly, you talk about Facebook putting this product out. If Facebook is able to ultimately resolve all of your concerns about AML and other issues, do you want Facebook to be in the business of issuing cryptocurrencies?
So let me make the first comment, which is we, and I say we, either at the principals level or at the deputies level, we've had multiple meetings across the regulators with representatives of Facebook and expressed our concerns. We've also had multiple meetings of the FSOC working group. I think you know Jay Powell and I meet weekly, and we've talked about this extensively. So there are these discussions going on. They will continue to go on. Again, to the extent that Facebook can do this correctly and can have a payment system, correctly with proper AML, that's fine. They got a lot of work to do to convince us to get to that place.
What are your concerns? Facebook's had privacy issues in the past. How does that play into your concern, and what is your level of concern with Facebook having Libra?
Well, again, I would just say we obviously have concerns with the privacy issues. There's been items in the press about potential settlements. I'm not going to comment on that. But obviously, the regulators, and one of the regulators, as I've said, most people haven't heard on FinCEN. So one of the reasons I wanted to explain this is whether they're banks or whether they're non-banks, they're under the same regulatory environment for FinCEN, and we will hold them accountable. And they're going to have to convince us of very high standards before they have access to the U.S. financial system.
Mr. Secretary, at the social media summit last week, the president essentially accused the social media giants of an animus against conservatives. Can you assure the markets and everyone watching that whatever action this government will take is not a result of the president's view that these social media giants are biased against him?
Well, again, what I will tell you is the president does have concerns as it relates to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And those are legitimate concerns that we've been working on for a long period of time. But no, we're not going to target any one entity. Everybody's playing by the same rules. Again, whether you walk into a money service provider or whether you walk into a bank or you do it digitally, you're going to have to adhere to the same rules.
Secretary, considering that Bitcoin is decentralized, what do you tell Americans who want to invest in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies?
Well, one, I tell them to be careful, okay? They should be clear why they're investing in them. There's a lot of good things to invest in, obviously, we know about. But, our number one issue is that, one, we don't want bad actors using cryptocurrencies. That's our number one issue. I think to a large extent, these cryptocurrencies have been dominated by illicit activities and speculation. We'll make sure that the general public and investors understand what they're investing in, and whether it's the SEC or other regulators, there's proper disclosures.
That you're comfortable with Facebook launching the currency if they do it in the right way.
I didn't say I was comfortable with them launching a currency.
If they launch it in the appropriate and in a safe way in terms of...
Yeah, but I'm not comfortable today. So let me just be careful, as I've said. They and others have a lot of work to do before they get us comfortable.
Do you have a sense of a timeline there? Is Facebook being candid with the administration about it? How many years it would take?
I think they're being very candid with the administration and where they are. I'm not going to publicly speculate how long I think it will take them to get to the point where we're comfortable with it, but they are a long way away from. And again, part of it, there's been a lot of public interest in this. That's why I wanted to give the public the assurance, but that before they or anyone else does this, that we're going to make sure the financial system is protected. And as I said, there's a lot of illicit activity that will be shutting down for people who are using cryptocurrencies for bad purposes.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Can you give a sense about how those discussions are going with your counterparts from other G20 countries on this particular area?
I would say there's enormous agreement on this. As I said, I was in Orlando, I think it was 2 weeks ago. The U.S. just finished the presidency of FATF. I gave the keynote address there. That was adopted. I mean, that is the largest organization, much bigger than the G20, and is kind of the gold standard of AML. And those rules were adapted. And at the G20 and the G7, we have absolute general agreement that in the U.S., if you deal with the U.S. financial system, you have to adhere to the same rules, and that's something that the rest of the G20 is very focused on.
So you said that the Treasury is concerned about bad actors using cryptocurrencies
Yes.
such as Bitcoin, which has become very popular among white nationalist groups. What sort of actions is Treasury taking to stop these bad actors from using these decentralized cryptocurrencies? And I have a follow-up, sir.
Okay, well, as it relates to any specific group, I'm not going to comment on any specific group. But what I will tell you is that FinCEN has multiple investigations going on. There have been enforcement actions. There will be more enforcement actions. We're going to beef up our resources for regulatory oversight. This is something we're absolutely focused on and on top of.
Yeah, Secretary, back in March, Treasury imposed restrictions or sanctions on the Venezuelan cryptocurrency, the petro, and our understanding is that the Venezuelan regime is still trying to keep it afloat. Can you give us an update on the results that you've gotten from those restrictions and whether or not you have any knowledge that the Venezuelan regime is trying to keep it afloat?
I'm not aware of anybody who's really using that or it's taken off or had any success whatsoever.
So the restrictions worked?
Absolutely.
Mr. Secretary, aren't you afraid of painting everybody with the same brush? You know, you have some of the cryptocurrencies that have been going to CFTC, they've been going with the IMF and Lagarde and the ECB and every regulator getting this done in the rules, and Libra sort of comes up. So you're sort of putting everybody in the same, painting the same brush for all the...
No, I don't think we're doing that at all. Matter of fact, as I said, one of the reasons why I wanted to speak about this is there's been lots of activity that's been going on for the last year on this. And, whether it's Congress or other areas of the press, because of Libra, it's caught a lot of attention, and people weren't aware of all the work that's been going on. So that's the purpose.
I wonder if you can be specific as to the illicit actions that you're referring to. Can you give us some examples so the American people can know, if they're interested in getting into cryptocurrency, what things to avoid?
Well, again, if you're dealing with a legitimate entity in the U.S., those legitimate entities that are attached to crypto are indeed subject to the Know Your Customer rules and AML. If you're looking to use Bitcoin to go through those entities and go on the dark web and think you're not going to get caught, you're going to get caught. So this is a warning. If you want to use it for speculation, that's one thing. If you want to use it for illicit activities, we're going to put the full effort of the U.S. Treasury and the regulators onto that.
Do the new regulations favor traditional banks, maybe in the same way?
No, this is intended to be a level playing field. Whether you're MoneyGram or you're a bank or you're an online or you're PayPal, this is intended to be a level playing field. And again, what we do encourage, and there's been a lot of financial innovation away from traditional banks, for electronic payment systems. Lots of people use electronic payment systems in dollars very effectively. And, we'll continue to support those activities. We want technology to evolve.
By the end of this video, I think we can all agree that his real number one concern is that the US dollar now has real competition in the form of an emerging asset class with a free market and decentralized, censorship-resistant cryptocurrency that is Bitcoin.